Into the Yerkes house again tonight. It's Thursday, March 26th. We got to make sure we say that every night so we all. Did you know it was Thursday, March 26th?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're in Mom and Dad's house tonight, which most of you know this already, but they're in an in-law suite that's attached to us. This is their kitchen. So, Mom and Dad, you're
Good for you to be here. Welcome to your house.
well, to your house.
Welcome to you.
They've been here 10 years.
So we're gonna talk to Mom and Dad tonight and find out a little bit more about them and their relationship and things that they're doing over here on the in-law suite side. And I thought a good thing to start out right off the bat, because I happened to catch on Facebook a conversation between a couple of people, confusion about Swede. So let's start with why Swede. What is that about?
Oh, how long do we have here?
And here we go. The games begin.
Well, it's pretty simple. There were a group of us guys that hung together in high school, and we just decided at one point to call each other by our father's nicknames because they also hung out together. And Swede was my father's nickname, and it was his ability in football that got him that name. Apparently there was a Swedish football player who he epitomized.
Okay.
And there you have
Pete
it.
Brumall says, hi, Bill and Ginny.
Hi, Pete.
Hi, Pete.
Wave up there.
And
Hi,
your daughter.
Joe.
And
They're
Tracy.
Yeah.
You got
So-
51,
So far this is
51
easy.
people watching right now.
Oh, my goodness.
So Swede really goes back to your dad and a Swedish football player.
That would
Correct.
work. That would work.
All right. There was nobody else in your family named Swede. It was your dad.
No, it was him. Yep.
Okay. And you took that on. One of the first things that Tina picked up on when we were dating was it seemed to be a Gloucester City thing that people had nicknames.
Nicknames.
Yeah.
Did
Oh,
you have
yeah.
any nicknames? You grew up in
Right
Gloucester.
now, I'm just Jenny.
Just. So we're here with Swede and Just Ginny tonight. So tell us about, where did you first meet? How did you first meet?
Oh, that's a big
In
story.
fourth grade.
Fourth grade.
Fourth grade.
Yeah.
Fourth grade.
Yep.
How old are you in fourth grade?
I remember.
9.
9? That would make sense.
But I sat behind her in the fourth grade.
Is there a story about an inkwell, or is that just a
Well,
joke?
yeah,
He made the story up. I don't remember.
I did
All
not.
right.
She doesn't know that I dipped her curls
Oh,
in the ink.
Ethel Joe said she's watching too.
Oh, hi,
Hi,
Ethel.
Joe.
You're look up there.
I'm
We
looking
did
down.
I know,
Okay.
but that's the camera. That's where you're gonna say hello to
And
people.
just-
I love you guys.
Just in case you missed that, Dad said he dipped her curls in the inkwell. Was that it? Was that love?
Yeah, and it's. I tried to write with her curl. It didn't work. She had dark hair, so the ink never showed up.
That's good stuff.
If I did it now, it would you'd see
Yes,
it.
I would wind up with blue or black hair.
Now, you told a story once,
Uh-oh.
years ago, that you, and I thought this was the beginning of it all. You asked her to the junior prom. You needed a
Oh,
date
well,
to
that's
the junior
true.
prom.
Yes, we didn't date after fourth grade on. We were in school together.
Well, you didn't
Oh,
date
so you
Well,
haven't been dating since fourth grade?
No.
That's what I kind of thought all the
And
time.
so then the
I
junior
have to
prom.
say.
My parents wouldn't have allowed that.
The junior prom came around, and I was sitting in Latin class, and Carolyn Lincoln said, "You know, Ginny Lane doesn't have a date yet for the prom."
Just Jenny.
Just
So-
Ginny
I
comes back.
thought, okay, so that's when I asked her to go to
The
the prom.
junior prom.
And that was
And where was your junior prom?
in the gym
In the gym?
at the high school.
And where was the high school at that time?
That was right there on Cumberland Street.
Mary Ethel.
Mary Ethel.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a theme to the prom?
For those that don't know, that's Gloucester City. Because
Right.
not everybody, I mean, this is, 3/4 of this is a very
Yeah.
Gloucester conversation.
I don't know.
That
There's
didn't
a great
come out
there's a
right.
great comeback to that. I'm not
That's
sure what it
that's
is,
not what
but
I
maybe
mean
somebody will
anything.
come up with something
I didn't
good.
mean anything
I'm
negative
not sure
by
what they do in proms today, but back then we had to decorate the whole
Yeah.
place.
You asked if there was a theme. There was a
Yeah.
theme. I think it was Stairway to the Stars.
But then there was a French theme for the senior prom, I think it was.
We only had one prom.
Oh. Well, I remember having tables around.
That could have been for a dance, maybe.
Oh, okay.
So we have some people watching from Florida and Kentucky.
Oh, I'm so nervous.
Kentucky.
Yeah, Laura.
Hi, Laura.
Hey.
Hey,
Cindy
Laura.
down and she's
Say
up
hi
there.
to
She's
Harry
up
and Ann.
Yeah, give our love to your mom and dad.
Yeah, they're missing their Harry and Ann Stevenson, that's for sure.
I can't hear you, Laura. What was that you said?
All right, so Mom, this question is for you. What do you remember? Do you have any specific memories about a date with Dad? Any specific date that sticks out in your mind?
I was a great kisser.
You've heard it here first.
Whoops.
Whoops.
Not true.
That was not true.
What'd you
She said that's not true.
Oh.
What is really funny about that whole thing is just the other night he asked, was I a good kisser? And back when we were dating. And I couldn't remember.
So this is very
So I
encouraging.
guess
This is very encouraging. You can be a lousy kisser and still be married for 60 years.
My parents are also watching from Florida.
Uh-oh.
So getting back to the original question, do you
Yeah.
remember anything specific? Like, what generally, what would a date look like to you guys? What would you do on a date?
Oh.
most of the time we double dated with Jen and Ken.
Ah.
Labor.
Jen and Ken Labor.
Yes, there
That's-
weren't too many dates with just the two of us. We
Okay.
dated with them because in the
We
beginning,
needed another couple of years.
Both your daughters chimed in during the whole kissing thing. And
sure.
Sue says, wow. And Tracy says, TMI.
That means too much information.
Well,
Andrew
we-
ran from the camera.
Yeah, we lost our cameraman during the whole kissing episode.
we dating sometimes ended up at the Venice restaurant
they had a car.
I
They
was
were
worried
the
about
first
that.
ones with a car.
on Market Street.
And so,
I'd love to know if anybody today knows where that pizza is today.
What pizza?
The Venice restaurant used to make.
Wasn't that the one that made the tomato pie that you
Yes,
loved?
and we have never been able to find out if anybody, I know there was a shop in Westville that had it after the Venice had it. I can't remember the name of that restaurant.
Bill Weingartner
Yeah.
says, I always thought Swede was a good kisser.
Whoa, whoa.
Oh,
All right.
you're gonna be
Moving
the
on.
next guest.
well,
We're gonna put Bill Weingartner on as the next guest.
That would be entertaining, that's for sure. All right, so you got married on June the 6th, 1959,
right. You
which
got it.
means
Thanks
What?
for the reminder.
You got it right.
you're coming up on 61 years.
61 years.
Wow.
So who was in your wedding?
My sister, Jen Layberger, Terry Morrow,
Terry Morrow. Oh, and
the girls, Carol Aldridge, these are their maiden names. Andrea, Ann Irma,
Lois.
Lois Reeder,
And another Lois.
and I think,
My mom.
Yeah. Don't
No,
forget-
that
it
was
in Jen
different.
Layberger.
That
Oh,
was
that was
Joan
Joan
Labor.
Labor.
That got weird.
Yeah.
I was like, I know what you're saying, but that's not
That's right,
right.
because you said Lois, so I was thrown.
Now the
Different,
guys,
different story.
All right, now hold on. Stop for time out because we want to clarify that. So, fun story. The Laybergers that mom and dad are talking about, good friends of theirs, when they got married, we found out before we were married that Tina's mother was the flower girl in their friend's wedding. So
I was the maid of honor, and Lois was the
the
flower.
flower girl.
It
Yeah.
was like 14 years between
We're
us.
supposed to
Ages.
look at the camera all the
Yeah.
time.
We had to make
We're talking
sure
to
we
them.
weren't related.
Really.
Well, we are now. So do you remember the men?
I remember most of them. Yeah.
Name
We
them.
gonna have to name them?
Oh, you're putting me on the
Okay.
spot.
We won't
Well,
put you on the
let's start up. There was Ken Layberger, and there was Bill Stubbs, and Tom Reeder, Bill Rutherford,
Matt Roller.
Matt Rowler, oh, Brad.
Yeah, Brad was the ring bearer.
Brad was.
Oh, did you see that? If you're watching, Brad and Denise.
Yeah.
Well,
That was Brad was the ring bearer.
well, Brad was carrying the pillow with the ring on.
What did he do?
And they were taking a picture of him, and he's walking very angelic with his hands like this under the pillow with the rings on. And all of a sudden he takes the pillow, he goes, and you swear he's going to throw it, and he really does. That's what I remember about
Bill, I
Brad.
do have a question for you.
Whoa.
From Teresa Cipolla. So it's a little, we're taking it off track for just a moment.
Okay.
But she said it's a silly question, but you know, you were her director at Gloucester
Okay.
High School, which she loves having you, misses you. But she wanted to know, if you had to go back, what musical would you do?
Oh, jeez. People ask me that all the time, and I have to be honest. There's too many great memories, and I don't think I could ever go back. The one show that I did twice so far in my career was Les Mis, because I love it so much. But even those two experiences were very different, and I think it kind of taught me that you can't duplicate what you do. They were both great. I'm not saying that in their own way, but I would never want to go back. I just want to keep moving forward. I have lots of great memories, lots of great people. Teresa, I remember all the gang from Gloucester that we worked with, and that was awesome. But yeah, so I guess that sort of answers the question.
Okay.
So let's get back to Bill and Ginny. So you've been married 61 years almost. Anything stand out in your mind? Like, what's a great memory since in your marriage? Either about when it was just the two of you, or now by the time you were married 10 years, you had all 3 kids, right?
Yes.
Okay. So how soon after you got married did you have your first? I forget.
We were married 2 years.
2 years. That's kind of like us.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so you had all 3 by the time you were married 10 years. And we lived, where was your first address?
Our first address was 830 Cumberland Street,
Okay.
right down the street from the home I grew up in. I was born and raised at 848. And then we moved to Fillmore Street, where we bought Dad's grandparents' home.
My grandfather built that house.
Okay.
We lived there until 77. Then we moved to Barnaby Avenue, and we only lived there for 3 years, and we moved to Harley Avenue.
And Harley Avenue is where Dad grew up.
Yes.
So
That was a
Sue
great home.
says that she's got Joan and Ken on the phone. They don't have Facebook, so they're listening.
Oh,
Oh, that's fun. All right.
Very clever, very clever, Sue.
So, one of the things that, it's awesome for Tina and I, because we have great role models when it comes to parenting and marriage. Tina's parents are down in Florida. Are they watching? Are they
They
in
are.
on this?
Yeah, they're on.
Hi,
So we
Wes
are
Lois.
connected to Florida as well. And so I recently, my dad was a lay speaker for many years
many.
and had a church in Woodland for a year.
Yes.
Yes.
And so my mom recently gave me his box of messages from all those years, and I was reading through them recently, and I want to take a quote from one that you preached the night before Thanksgiving in 1972.
Oh, good.
Dad said, "Thankful people will be happy people, satisfied people, enjoyable people, and dedicated people. There's always something for which we can give thanks. Even on the darkest day, there are blessings to count."
Wow.
So when you think about that,
You
said that.
I forgot.
That was pretty good, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
it was.
Yeah.
I might use that
I'll have to
sometime.
say that again.
If you can remember.
So when you sit here now, at almost 61 years, is there anything that you think of when that comes to mind? You are clearly thankful people. You're clearly people who have been blessed.
I was
and-
kind of given a warning before this.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to ignore that.
Uh-oh.
And
I don't know what she's talking about.
I don't know
Friends.
either. I
the
don't know.
greatest
Uh,
accomplishment
Well,
is our kids.
I think that we've come over the many years realize that God really does want to take care of us. But what we're enjoying is now we had 3 children, and now we have grandchildren, and now we're getting great-grandchildren.
Yep.
So, we're certainly not alone.
right,
Thank
that's
God.
for sure. And neither are we.
No, this is a great experience for us. And Ginny is very emotional. And you'll have to forgive me. But we have been blessed. We've got 3 great kids who were married to 3 great kids. And the children and the grandchildren that we've been blessed with,
We're not kids anymore.
the great-grandchildren, it's just, who could ask for anything more?
It's the name of a song.
I think I'm being
I think
mocked.
that's in a song.
You're not being mocked.
No, not at all.
It is the name of the song.
It is.
So are we getting anything we need to talk about? Any
Well,
comments?
I
any
mean,
questions?
just lots of love for Ginny and Swede. So,
Good.
Sherry Rusk says we've all been blessed by Bill and
Rusk.
Ginny.
Oh, thank you.
And Sue Ream, all the way from Maine,
Hey,
Well, I
hi
remember
Sue.
too.
says,
I
"I love
remember.
my parents, but I seriously would consider being adopted by Bill's parents."
And they would adopt you, Sue.
Yeah, you would.
right?
Sure would. And
Yes,
we remember Sue very
Yes,
well.
we do.
Yeah.
That's awesome. We have lots of good memories at the Ritz
Yeah,
and working with Sue Ream.
we all do.
And we'll cherish those memories forever. So, any good stories? I mean, there has to be a good story before we wrap things up. We laugh all the time here. We were laughing just before we went live. We sat here for about 10 minutes before we went live, and Dad insisted on having a cup of coffee that was almost gone by the time we started. He talked about getting out the banana bread that he makes. He loves to make. And he's not supposed to have it.
Neither are we, but we
yeah.
got it.
Mom says, but he does. He eats it, and he thinks it's
I
because she
don't eat
measures
that
the loaf
much.
of bread to see how much has disappeared over time. But anyway,
So there's a woman named Dawn Michelle Allen. She said, "Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Yerkes, from your old neighbors.
oh, they
Both
live
look
behind
great.
you.
Yeah.
God bless you all."
Oh, Dawn, thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
They lived behind you on Harley Avenue. Dawn.
Oh, Dawn.
Dawn,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You can wave and say hello to her.
Yeah.
Hi, Dawn.
Hi guys.
Kara Lewis Newton says everyone loves the Yerkeses.
Oh, my goodness. Hi, Kat.
This is great for Mom and Dad. Mom and Dad are on Facebook. If you didn't know that, Bill Ginny Yerkes, right? Is what it's
Yeah.
called.
Yeah.
A lot of people get the Yerkes
Jenny
confused.
doesn't like to comment.
We like to hear from
Ginny
you, but we
enjoys
don't
it.
really send a lot of messages out.
Right.
Amy Bear says she votes for a spin-off, the Ginny and Swede show.
Oh, that could be fun.
Well, that
That could
could
be
be boring.
fun. No, there's nothing boring about this household. So, anything else? Anything you want to share? Any fun thing you want to share before we finish?
Well, it's hard to take 60 years and start the.
So I guess the obvious question anyone would ask is there, what's your advice to people who have only been married for
How many years ago? How many years have we
25 years? It's 25 years this year.
been? In May, yes.
In May.
Good.
25 years. So
Well,
we're
I
not even
I
halfway
always hear
there.
people say, "Oh, it's 50-50." It's not 50-50. It sometimes could be 10-90. It's
I
never.
think the most important thing is having Jesus in your life.
What?
Mom gets emotional.
Yeah.
That's
Very
a
easily. What?
We can be thankful for that.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well,
It's been only
Yeah,
19
and I
minutes
think
till
that we realize I'm not perfect. So
no comment from the other side.
I didn't say that.
after we get that out.
I love you anyway.
I
Aw.
love you too.
Are you gonna kiss?
You get in here.
You don't have to. This is a PG. It's PG.
Tom Young
That
says love them.
Oh yeah, there's a virus. No kissing. What?
Tom Young says love them.
Aw.
God bless them.
Oh, thanks, Tom.
Who was that?
Tom Young.
Oh, Tom. Hey,
Yeah.
Tom.
No, he's that way.
All right,
Mom
Tom.
mentioned just before we started
I
that her.
remember, wasn't it
Oh.
Tom? No, it was
Uh-oh.
Kevin that sang in Oklahoma.
Kevin,
At
that was
high
Kevin.
school, Yeah.
Tom was when I was in school. He was a year behind me,
Uh-huh.
and so he was in all the musicals when I was in school. Lots of great memories there.
He started to say something.
Then this happened last night too. I did start to say something, and I don't remember what it was.
Okay.
Tish Saraceno says too many memories to count.
Ah,
Goodness,
yes.
we do, Tish.
Okay, so Tish makes me think of a funny, one of the things that I learned from you guys is that good fellowship with friends is important, and we've had a lot of good memories with our friends. And growing up, I can remember some of the crazy things your friends did,
Oh.
and you did with your friends. And I bring this up, Tish, because you're watching, and I specifically remember in our house on Harley Avenue,
Mm-hmm.
there was a closet in the back room that had a really high storage area in it that we could only ever get to with a ladder or step something. And the adults we were having a picnic, but we all had to come in because of the rain, right? It started to rain or
I don't
something.
remember
And
this.
so the adults played hide and seek. And Tish was the last one to be found because she was hiding up in that storage, that high area. Do you remember that, Tish? Or is that just something I remember?
The story I remember that was kind of funny was at Seaville. When we would stay at the cottage, the one time your father took you in to change from your bathing suits to your
Here we
clothes.
go.
Whoa, now it's getting
And,
real.
You were undressed and running out, and Dad was undressed, and Dad almost forgot that he was undressed. Caught just in time.
They had a surge and people wanting to come and buy a house, but that was
That was not part of it.
Because Swede ran naked through the campground, is that what it was?
No, he didn't. He got you before you got too far.
Oh my gosh.
Is anybody commenting on that story?
Lots of laughter. Lots of laughter. A couple requests for the one we talked about not talking about, which I
Yeah.
already said we're not talking about that
There's
one.
certain stories that are
You
off
actually need
limits.
to be at our table for real to share that one. So, sorry.
There's too many
Which
people
just
out there
goes to
that,
show you.
yeah, you just have to be careful with what stories you
Yeah.
tell.
We're
Can you tell it, though, one of the things that always made me laugh, can you tell your Juniata story? Or is that
Now, wait a minute,
the
Junior.
football field, the prank?
Oh, that's terrible. I wouldn't tell that story.
Alright.
It was kind of
It's not-
stupid. It was
Yeah, maybe we should do
Alright,
that one.
maybe we shouldn't. Oh, now we're gonna have everybody
No,
wonder.
it sounds like there's a lot of things about me that you shouldn't be telling, you know?
Well, let's be honest.
Yeah, let's be honest.
There are things that shouldn't be told, but that's okay. They're all good memories.
Yeah.
And you never got caught.
Oh, jeez.
Kidding, I'm kidding.
I remember when I first started dating you and all of the Sunday dinners that, like, we did that with my family too, but it was much smaller than your family. And it kind of felt like home instantly, and it was always fun to see what your mom would do or say. All the kids running around, and it was always a lot of fun.
Right.
We packed it in on Harley Avenue, and how much you enjoyed every meal.
Oh, I still do.
That's never been an issue.
No, never been an issue. Yeah, that's one thing. I don't know if appetite stopped at some point, but 81 and I'm still hungry when I get up in the morning.
Well, that's a good sign. That's a good sign for sure. Well, I thought, I wanted to wrap up. Always try to look for something to use as a wrap up. And as I mentioned earlier, Dad, I have all these great messages from Dad. And it is kind of cool. They're all typed, and all of his original notes. Some of them I could tell you made just to fit inside of your Bible, maybe.
Isn't that wonderful?
Because they're small. Could you still read that if you had to?
No, where?
I'll read it.
Yeah, I think that might
Okay.
be.
But I thought this was a good way to close, because this was a message that he used. It was called People of Peace. And he said, the presence of peace is always proof of something good. It's a sign of fidelity and loyalty and a reason for pride and satisfaction. It is a guarantee of harmony, healing, and productivity. Most of all, the presence of peace is a sure and certain sign of the influence of the unseen God. And I thought that was a good way to kind of wrap up our conversation tonight. And words of encouragement for all of us at a time like this. I hope you've enjoyed our time with Bill and Ginny, with Mom and Dad. We enjoy every day. This is every day for us. And so...
And thanks to the cameraman up there. He's doing a wonderful
He just came
job.
back. I'm not sure where he's been, but we're glad that he showed up in time.
Thank you, Andrew.
So, from all of us here at the Yerkes House, thanks for joining us again tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m., where we'll be back on the other side of the French doors in the kitchen with Andrew as our special guest. So, we'll see how that goes.
Well, who's going to be the cameraman?
Good question.
I guess I can't be your guest.
All right. So, from all of us, to all of you, good night.
Good night.
Thanks for joining us.